out the gap, picking at the scab now, making it harder while making it good. Pulling out the line, no compass threads the needle through. Looks like I got my hooks in you, and you got yours too. Where the light goes is somewhere down the corridor. How come I can only love you more after you're gone? Holding your hand and across the great divide, getting tangled in the ties that bind. My oh my, straight up off the path, kicking up a cloud and dust, muddy in the water, and fucked my mind. I'm trying not to laugh, show me where the stitches go. I'm scattering the ashes and settle our score. Where the light goes is somewhere down the corridor. How come I can only love you more after you're gone? And holding your hand and across the great divide, getting tangled in the ties that bind. My oh my, somewhere down the corridor. How come I can only love you more after you're gone? And holding your hand and across the great divide, getting tangled in the ties that bind. My oh my, there's a hole in the ceiling where the weather gets in. It's been there for ages, but you try and pretend that it's just a reflection of the hole in the floor that fills up with water every time that it storms. And clutching a copy of The Power of Now and humming your favorite song. Isn't she lovely? The blind singer said, and kept on repeating, though nobody answered him. There's a chorus of killers singing outside your door. The scientist prophesied all that's in store for king and for country as you fall on your sword. Then wonder at all of the blood on the floor. The essence of history, the balm of desire, the snake that keeps eating its tail. And on the sinking Titanic, the quartet kept playing as into the ocean the pride of an empire sank. Well, how can I tell you the secret if I don't remember the words? And how can we keep playing favorites when who's to say what we deserve? All of our heroes are famous, but Superman died in a chair. If any among you is blameless, you can cast the first stone, but I can't keep pretending to care. There's a clock somewhere counting the hours and days that make up the memory of all our mistakes, and whose guilty conscience will carry the weight of the future unwritten on the filthiest plate. Your humanist dogma, your Christian belief aren't really that different at all. If something from somewhere is guiding your steps, what will you do if you're wrong? I don't need no lover, I need a mother to come to my room. And I don't need no father, I need an ocean to carry my mood. And I need your love. Ooh. I don't need no one else around. And I need your love. I need to get the hell out of this town. I don't need no lover, but I sure like keeping you around. And I don't need no lover, I'll try not to let you down. I don't doubt it. I got a feeling. I'll keep seeing you around. But I don't need no lover, but I sure like keeping you around. I don't need no lover, not to let you down. Hey, hey. And I don't need no lover, but I sure like keeping you around. And I don't need no lover, no. I'll try not to let you down. No, no, I don't need no lover, no, but I sure like keeping you around, so I'm keeping you around. But I don't need no lover, no. I'll try not to let you down.
So we started this one in your house
Yes.
in 2018, 2017.
That's a great question.
Pretty early.
I think it was 17.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were like doing a week of sessions, just writing and stuff in your house.
Yeah. That's where a lot of the album came from.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you want to show what we started with? There was a synth sound.
Yeah. So Noah was playing this Moog Subfatty, which is it's like a mono synthesizer, and you just found this sound on there.
Yeah.
That had this kind of like oscillating thing going on, and I think I just grabbed like 3 little chunks of it, which is this sound here. And it's just kind of really inspiring sounding. So that just kind of like became the basis for something that we wanted to start working off of.
Yeah.
And I think that what happened after that was, I think you started playing some piano along to it, or I think it was a synthesizer.
Yeah.
And I was playing drums on a keyboard.
Yeah.
And
really like super loose drums that we were gonna like lock to a grid later.
Right.
And like what made it kind of cool was that they did feel kind of like disruptive and like kind of jarring.
Yeah, I think I had just recently read an interview with Questlove where he had talked about the kind of contrast between like a really kind of rigid hi-hat and kind of a really loose kick. And something about that like seemed like really fun to experiment with at that time. And even though I am not a very proficient rhythmic person,
Keyboard drummer,
any form of drummer, with a lot of time I can make something sound good, but at the moment momentarily it was challenging. And so the appeal of something like that was that like kind of the more loose and I think almost like untrained it sounded, like the more fun it was.
Which it is interesting when you like when we take apart the tracks, like we were like listening to stuff last night, and like so much of this song is really messy and sloppy.
Yes.
And that's weirdly what makes it work once it's all put together. But like, there's how many tracks in this thing? Like we like maxed out
everything. At the moment, what the reality of this situation is that we can't play the session and record this at the same time because it's so big.
Yeah.
But that's partially, I think, because when we started making this record, there was this feeling of wanting to make kind of slightly more pop forward and with more electronic instruments, but with wanting to maintain a feeling of natural, like it was still musicians playing, I guess, and you know, that was the ultimate challenge, I think. Like, you know, as we demoed stuff out, what ended up happening was we would either layer or replace things with real instruments or with other players and stuff like that.
And there was also all the stuff that we like kind of threw at it during the experimentation phase.
Yes.
And then it just ended up taking away layers and layers of
right. Stuff. It was very much an exploratory process, I think, finding all these things. But I think that the things that really kind of tie it together was like using real drums in addition to like the programmed stuff that we did, and eventually like I ended up going in pretty deep and trying to only fix the things in the electronic drums that sounded like they're too disruptive, you know, like to try to maintain some of that. And so what you end up with here is, you know, this kind of it's pretty weird.
I do remember we spent a lot of time like editing out specific kick drum. Like there's no real pattern to it.
Right, exactly. I think that my kind of overarching memory of making this record is muting kick drums with you.
Totally. Just in your apartment muting kick drums.
Yeah. It's just like finding which ones don't need to be there, so you only have like the essentials. But the cool thing about like what we land on with this, of course, is that like every one is intentional. Like every single hit has a purpose.
Yeah.
And I think that with your vocal performance, you really kind of like there's this push and pull to this. There's that stop and start kind of like nature to it. Mm-hmm. In the choruses especially, the way that interacted with the bass instruments was really, really important, because the bass just became an extension of like that kick drum pattern. Yeah. So you see like, you know, layers upon layers of kind of almost unintentional sounding things all of a sudden start to feel like they have a purpose and a reason. Yeah.
That's cool. So like what are some of the other, there's like some other weird auto-tune stuff in here.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite little tidbits here is...
This is the song where I discovered auto-tune.
It is, yeah. And also, one of the coolest things is we have... I think it's here. You can hear a little bit of it in there. Let me see if I can find the exact track here, but... Well, you can hear very tucked inside this track here, this effects track. There is, sorry, it's this one. There's a really high sounding sound. It's like very... What's tucked inside there is actually the original vocal part.
The demo vocal?
The demo vocal that you wrote for it. Like when we were creating the record and we were writing it at my place, a lot of times we would just have a microphone ready for you. So if you had an idea, we just press record and then the first thing that came to your mind. kind of like sing random words or whatever was in your head at that time, which I think sometimes some of those things really stuck. This one did not, but I think that the cool thing about that was, and something that I really enjoyed doing, is kind of taking those early ideas and adding them in later as an element that is kind of masked by something else. So that's really fun. But I think that you really kind of come across the fun auto-tune stuff in the end, with the kind of harmonies and stuff that you did here at the very end. Let's see. I think the fun thing with that is having you sing through autotune on that stuff is kind of like a freeing thing.
Yeah, well, it's like it's its own instrument that I had never. It was like discovering a new instrument.
Absolutely, yeah. And I heard you like kind of going for things that like you weren't doing otherwise, because
I literally couldn't.
Well, that's part of I think the appeal and the joy of doing that, because I think everybody knows that you don't need autotune to sing. You're a very good singer, but I think that giving you a tool like that to mess around with, you can kind of like explore new territories, and your voice becomes kind of like a synthesizer.
Yeah, and especially like something that I'm so familiar with already. Like my voice is a thing that I know pretty intimately, and to have it then be transformed into something that I'm like discovering anew was really cool.
Yeah, and it really helps to kind of like make that section, I think, really take off, because we weren't subtle with the emotional pushes in this song. I think, dynamics and trying to make things as big and as exciting and bold as possible, and those harmonies stacked, kind of like creating these swirling, big, kind of enormous, surreal moments was really crucial, and the way that I think that they kind of blend into what like Harrison Whitford did on slide guitar for like the lead stuff there at the end, and some of the synthesizers, it all kind of like creates almost an indistinguishable type of thing.
I'll try not to let you down.
I feel like that was the last thing that we recorded, was the piano for the song. So
it's kind of what brought it from out of this like weird alien space into something that felt real, and it added like a human touch to it that, like, for me, when I first heard the stuff he added, it was like, oh, this song finally really feels like me. Like,
it's exactly what I was gonna say.
Communicate.
It's such an interesting thing to me, because at that point I don't think you two had met, but he really got it, and he was kind of picking up on like what your kind of melodic influences are and stuff like that, and so I agree that Josh's piano was really what kind of made it sound like a Noah Gundersen song at the end, which is so surreal to think about.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Josh. So in terms of like this song as a whole, I think that I remember you kind of always coming back to this one as kind of the it was, even though it was one of the last ones we finished, it was kind of a early on, I think one of the ones that we knew for sure we wanted to be on the record, and something that kind of raised a lot of the other songs to its level of production and kind of feel and presence, I think.
Wait, she said, I can't wait for your payday, for your love. Wait, more problems. Now I've got 'em, and I'm so fucked. A scarecrow hanging from a wire, silver and gold caught fire, pump me full of drugs. 'Cause now you're asking for an anchor, a suicidal savior, a kamikaze love. Send me a dirty picture and say it's over one more time. You are above all others, undercovers, my favorite one. A scarecrow hanging from a wire, silver and gold caught fire, pump me full of drugs. 'Cause now you're asking for an anchor, a suicidal savior, a kamikaze love. Now you're asking for an anchor, a suicidal savior, a kamikaze.
Hear the implied drum beat.
Yeah. In my head, it was like anthem rock kind of thing.
Wait, she said, I can't wait
And it would have been a good song too.
Yeah, I'm glad we didn't go this direction though.
I don't remember why we changed it, but I think maybe if I remember slightly some of it, it's that like at some point you just started playing it on piano.
Yeah.
And that just instantly felt, it was so sad.
Well, I think you two, like you were in the other room playing stuff on the Mellotron while I was just messing around with it on the piano.
That's right. Yeah. That was one of those things. I think this session was a funny session because I think we didn't have like a really like clear purpose for what we were doing at that moment, but that left us open to do a lot of kind of exploration once again. And I think that what started off as kind of like a lot more like kind of traditional recording ended up getting a lot more creative as we kind of loosened up a little bit, you know? And so I think that hearing you messing around with the song on piano was really inspiring, and that was when, you know, like I started messing around with the Mellotron, of course, and then Sam Rawson helped me make those like tape loops that we kind of became a very important textural piece to the song. But and I think that this is another one which was, you know, less is more, because it's really, really sparse for most of it. But I have a really funny thing on the note of deleting kick drums. We actually have in this session all the original drums here.
Oh my god.
So you can see where we muted the kick drums. So what we ended up with is this extraordinarily sparse beat, which is just...
Yeah, and then spending hours just like picking which ones of those to take out.
Yeah, it was just like, you know, there was a different, obviously slightly different beat there, but once again, just only picking the things that were absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
And you know, in the end with that piano, that guitar one was in a different key, that always throws me off.
Yeah.
I think this is a cooler key for your voice too. It's great because it's such a rhythmic piano part that it really fills in the blanks. You never listen to it and you think that we're missing drums, really.
Right.
Because it's like almost there's an implied pulse to it. It's not implied, it's there. But I really enjoy that there's no redundancy here. And it really does not get more complex than that. There are other slightly rhythmic elements like this reverse Lindrum that happens later here. Technically, but then everything else is kind of comes from the other instruments, like these.
I think we should make it clear too that like none of this stuff was ever like, none of it was like planned out ahead of time.
No.
So much of it was just like adding layers and subtracting things as we felt inspired.
I think that's there's a lot of, especially this song is a great example, I think, of kind of like intuitive production, like, you know, in songwriting and ideas. Because this song, as much as any song, I think, like, sometimes the sounds that we heard or the sounds that we were creating kind of like led us towards what ended up being in the track. And the sound of the main piano is kind of diffuse, to kind of make room for everything else, because even though it's a kind of a piano is the main instrument of the song, it's a little bit darkened. There's like an EQ curve on it. That's that's what the piano's going through.
Yeah.
It's just it's a band pass that's kind of like cutting everything off except for the tiniest bit. That's the full range. Very different sounding. But it's all about kind of like making space for everything. And mostly the vocal, which sounds huge on this song, because everything else is kind of pushed into the background.
Yeah.
Silver and gold caught fire, pump me full and true, 'cause now you're asking for a name.
This is a good moment to talk about kind of some of these tape loops, I guess, because here's one that's kind of, as you can see, it was recorded throughout the entire song, but we brought it in later, and it was, I believe, the mellotron. Yeah, so it's just a note on the mellotron recorded onto an ATR 102 tape machine, and then cut into a circle of tape, and then played back on a Tascam tape recorder, just with a couple little attachments so that it can have tension, and it just goes around in a circle. So it plays the same little bit over and over again. It's the there are a million things that do that in your computer now.
Yeah.
But there's something really special about it, a physical version of that, because like as it's going through, you can kind of manipulate it and touch it, and it's crackling and having problems, and we'll actually do sometimes is like crush the tape.
Yeah.
I'm sure we did with this. But that's why, this is a loop. It's a loop that goes over and over again. It's the same thing, but instead of just taking it and copying it over in Pro Tools like you would do normally with that type of thing, we made it a performance throughout this, because it has those like tiny little imperfections and things that change throughout it, which make it feel alive and makes it feel like it's breathing. And at the very end of the song, it kind of like you finally notice it, because that's when we decided to really manipulate it and kind of like feel like it's falling apart, which is just us touching the tape and holding it back. It has this kind of, you can hear the modulation.
And that's literally just from like touching it and playing with it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so you just kind of hold it for a second, then it starts up again. And it stops. It's just, there's something very, very fun, and there's this kind of inherent nostalgia to those sounds, because in our current world, there's no practical place where that exists anymore. It's a bygone kind of existence, like static on a TV. Like those are things that you have to go out of your way to find and create now, but it still exists in a cultural lexicon as a sound or an image or an idea. So I think that it's a really special thing to kind of hear it just kind of as a piece of the fabric in the song. But then there's also these things like these wonderful mellotron harp pushes,
The Disney moment.
Disney modes. The bluebirds fly away.
Yeah.
Just kind of like taking these little moments, just little noises. I think you can see. What even is that? It's in the song.
It's like, sounds like one of those wooden train whistles.
It does, yeah. It was something that like we sampled. That's a Doctor sample. It's an old Boss 8 or 16-bit sampler that I think we were just kind of finding noises and playing them on there.
Yeah.
And you can see, in this session, it's really nice to have this session open actually, to see that how much of it was just kind of trial and error. There's just tons of stuff that we were recording and then just found a little bit that we like literally this thing where there's a tiny sliver of it that works at that moment, and then muted everything else. So in context there, you might see if you can hear it.
More problems.
It's weird, but for some reason it works.
It made sense.
Yeah, it's like it sounds sad because it's so wrong. Yeah, so there's just stuff like that all over the place. Like,
oh yeah, what was that thing?
It's a great question. It sounds like something feeding back onto a spring river or something.
Yeah.
Who knows? But this is a sample of your voice on that Doctor sample going through a spring reverb here. I'm sorry, no, this is the mellotron here. Let me find that one. This is you. Yeah, there's something weird about
it. There's like a scrapbook feeling to this song.
Yes.
Where like we took all these little moments, which I think like that is sort of analogous to how I felt about this record as a whole, which was taking all these moments and memories from my life and compiling them into this scrapbook, which is I think why I felt like this song was such a good representation of like how I felt about the entire record, because it's just an amalgamation of little bits here and little bits here that that make up a season or make up a photo album or any kind of like a chapter of time.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool just to pick out these little bits from this song, because that seems really analogous to just the overarching themes in the album.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that lyrically it's so kind of crushingly personal and in an unflinching way, I think, at times, that it's really... It makes for a really inspiring kind of way to put kind of very big, beautiful sounding things with like very kind of, ugly sounds, because I think that the imagery in your lyrics really kind of evokes that as well. There's beauty and ugliness hand in hand inside of that, and that's like that full experience that you're not looking away from. You're approaching it head on, and I think that it's really fun to in the kind of deep dive of this kind of thing, like where we're trying to break apart those little bits and pieces, like that it really does kind of feel like those things work together and they make sense together.
Even though they might not make sense on their own.
I know. And isn't that just life? And really, kind of all that makes up that song, except for your harmonies. There's
suicidal savior, a kamikaze.
There's not much to it.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it good, I think.
Yeah. That feels good to me. Dude, Andy, you nailed it.
Oh, thank you.
I don't even need to say anything.
It's not easy to please me, I know. I wish that I could give you some good news, but my heart beats like a tattoo on an old tin drum. It's rolling down a gray gravel road from a house that used to be my home before the hard times. Well, I got sick and threw up in my mouth at the thought of ever missing out on the bright blue world and all the beautiful girls in it. But you were something sweet enough to stick, a Jolly Rancher wet against my lips, and my teeth are digging in to your watermelon skin, and I don't know what to do now. I get this feeling every goddamn time. Line up all my failures in a row. At least I got some things to show. A lot of good love, a lot of good luck, a lot of good timing, a lot of good fucks, a couple bad apples, a lot of good friends, a couple diseases, a couple dead ends, a whole lot of late nights, a whole lot of booze. There's a whole lot of holes you can stick it into. But this hole in my chest won't let me rest, so I'm trying my best to fill it with you. If this is the end, there's nowhere I'd rather be, no one I'd rather see the end with. There's beer in the fridge in the place that I live, and the love of the woman I live with. Tell God on his throne to leave us alone if this is the end. Two dogs and a cat, a little psychopath. I swear she fell down the stairs around midnight. I listen to music and I work in the yard, and when the snow comes I'll probably go crazy, or maybe I won't, 'cause I'm taking it slow. Look at how the candles flicker in the window. Look at how the leaves are turning gold out on the trees. Feels a little corny, sounds a little like John Denver, but the turning of the season gives me something to believe in. So if this is the end, there's nowhere I'd rather be, no one I'd rather see the end with. Tell God on his throne to leave us alone. If this is the end.